For a moment it felt as though time itself paused beneath the hammerbeam ceiling of St. George's Hall. The chandeliers shimmered, the castle clocks ticked, and 24 of Britain's most ambitious founders clutched champagne flutes that suddenly seemed too fragile for the moment. Then the tall doors parted and King Charles III, leaner from treatment yet unbowed, took his first measured step onto the crimson rug. Cameras clicked, but no one breathed. Duty, it appeared, had outrun diagnosis. The monarch's appearance was the first tremor, but scarcely the last. To see Charles in the flesh, 3 days after his latest chemotherapy session, brought an audible gasp from guests, who had wagered the evening would be a video-link cameo. Instead, the king chose proximity over pixels, handshake over hologram. Why risk exhaustion for a ceremonial reception? Those closest to the sovereign hinted at a single motivation. The winners of the 2025 King's Award for Enterprise were about to carry Britain's flag into foreign markets, and Charles wanted to fasten that banner on their lapels himself. Across the hall, phones buzzed with alerts as news desks pushed out "King defies treatment" notifications. Viewership spiked. Live streams pirouetted from a routine royal clip into primetime theatre. If stories like this keep you flicking through every feed you own, consider tapping subscribe, so the next twist arrives the second it breaks. These palace corridors don't stay silent for long. A room wired for opportunity. Officially, the King's Award rewards innovation, export prowess, sustainable growth, and social mobility. Unofficially, winners describe it as a backstage pass to the world's toughest markets. A biotech CEO once likened the emblem's effect in New York investor meetings to carrying an instant due diligence stamp. Tonight's class promised an encore. AI-guided prosthetics able to learn a wearer's gait in minutes, graphene circuitry that bends like rubber, algae-derived jet fuel chilled in acrylic vials that glowed sci-fi green under the chandeliers. Every stand felt like an opening chapter. The question was which one would land the series deal first. Charles moved slowly but with focused intent, pausing just long enough to throw a technical dagger. How soon to reach price parity with fossil kerosene? Have you modeled rare earth supply shocks, then advancing before staffers could reclaim their breath? What startled many was not merely the monarch's knowledge, but the instinct for pressure points investors latch onto. A former chief scientific advisor, overheard near the hydrogen fuel prototype, whispered, "He's grilling them like a venture capitalist who's seen one pitch too many." The ventures looked exhilarated, if slightly shell-shocked. This was not a ribbon-cutting monarch. This was the kingdom's lead analyst. The Iron Double makes its entrance. Just when the room regained composure, a stir behind the press pen signaled another tableau. Princess Anne advanced with military efficiency, her navy ensemble as utilitarian as ever, eyes scanning for the nearest product manual. Seconds later, Duchess Sophie, formerly the Duchess of Edinburgh, glided in, silver lame catching the chandelier light. They rarely headline the same engagement. Tonight they appeared side by side, a formation royal watchers immediately dubbed the Iron Double. Anne's first target, a modular housing startup claiming to withstand Category 4 cyclones. "Prove it," she challenged, flicking through a structural diagram, before the founder could uncap a marker. Sophie meanwhile strapped on an AR visor designed to teach blind athletes spatial awareness. Her applause after the demo carried across 3 exhibition bays. 2 styles, 1 mission. Signal family cohesion on a night when the monarchy's relevance is measured by export statistics, instead of balcony waves. The optics mattered. With the Princess of Wales recovering out of the spotlight, and Prince William juggling solo duties, the palace has leaned heavily on its veteran bench. Anne logged more than 200 engagements last year. Sophie spearheaded a slate of anti-trafficking and youth skills campaigns. Appearing together delivered twin dividends, a photogenic pledge of stability, and an unmistakable reply to Republican insinuations that cancer and slim-down strategies have left the working rota threadbare. The block heel exchange heard round the web. If stability was the message, levity provided the megaphone. Enter Lisa Kay, the footwear designer, whose pumps reportedly anchor Queen Camilla's wardrobe. Kay's handshake with the king was courteous, her curtsy textbook precise. But what came next ricocheted from Windsor's parquet floors to social feeds worldwide. Kay praised the Queen's loyalty to her brand. Charles leaned closer and murmured, "She likes a heel that isn't too narrow, you know." Kay, savvy and swift, translated, "A block heel, Your Majesty." The sovereign nodded, chuckled, and added, loud enough for reporters to catch, "Gets trickier to stay upright in stilettos as the birthdays pile up, doesn't it?" The remark detonated online. Within 45 minutes, #block heel bombshell outranked a Champions League semi-final on X-trending lists. Millions replayed Rebecca Inglis's 14-second clip, analyzing angle, eyebrow arch, and the Queen's off-screen laugh. Why did it land so hard? Perhaps because every viewer above a certain age recognized the humor, and every entrepreneur in the room realized a viral micromoment had just attached itself to their still-loading LinkedIn posts. Hard numbers meet hard reality. Behind the memes loomed more consequential metrics. Over 6 decades, winners of the award average an export revenue hike of 10% in the first post-ceremony year. Aggregated across classes, that translates to roughly £1 billion in fresh trade for 2024 alone. Tonight's entrepreneurs looked eager to keep the curve trending. One fintech founder confessed she had booked 3 red-eye flights to pitch US investors who insisted on selfies with our invite before confirming the meeting slot. The royal crest, she noted, turns cold intros into warm leads faster than any accelerator badge. Prince Richard, Duke of Gloucester, circulated quietly, talking infrastructure and land surveying with a cluster of civil engineering scholars. His less flashy presence underscored the monarchy's endurance strategy: distribute engagements so widely that public duties feel woven, not sporadic. It is harder to argue irrelevance when your local export hero uploads a palace photo at breakfast. The monarch's calculated gamble. Late in the evening, Charles paused before a hydrangea-lined arch and seemed to weigh his energy reserves. Aides hovered, prepared to wheel out a discreet chair. He waved them off, recommenced the gauntlet, and in so doing ignited palace corridor debate. Was the appearance worth the health risk? Courtiers acknowledged the king bumped a chemo session by 24 hours. Physicians, we're told, were uneasy. Charles vetoed their caution with 5 words: "Britain's winners expect my handshake." The palace will neither confirm nor deny, but the narrative sticks, because it rings of Windsor pragmatism: optics today, rest tomorrow. One palace insider compared the decision to field operations in wartime: you deploy the sovereign where morale needs it most. Right now, national morale is tangled in inflation anxieties and global election jitters. The monarch's job description, often mocked as mystic, occasionally distills to something simpler: be the one certainty nobody else can duplicate. Continuity written in brick and byte. Every accolade handed out tonight traced its lineage to 1965, when Queen Elizabeth II launched the then-named Queen's Award during a decade obsessed with supersonic flight. Back then winners dreamed of Mach 2 airliners. Tonight they dream of zero-carbon jet fuel. Thread the years together and the monarchy resembles a human API, updating Britain's export narrative without triggering a system reboot. Critics of royal spending rarely contest the award's commercial punch. What they question is symbolism. Yet ask any founder clutching the crystal trophy how symbolism translates in the Singapore boardroom and watch their eyes light up. Near midnight, the last of the dignitaries filed toward waiting jaguars. Before Charles followed, he pivoted, slowly, deliberately, to address the entrepreneurs still milling in awe. "The fortitude is yours," he said, voice carrying, "but the faith is ours. Fly the flag boldly." Thumbs up, half salute, faint smile. In one gesture, He bridged the scuba diving past of wartime Britain with the space-age future of AI supply chains. The hall erupted in applause that chased him into the corridor. What lingers after the lights? Long after staff cleared the last canapé tray, energy signatures of the reception pulsed across continents. Investors in San Francisco awoke to inboxes lined with Windsor selfies. Commonwealth trade envoys floated the idea of a follow-up summit fronted by the Anne-Sophie duo, whose unexpected chemistry has already spawned unflattering dynamic duo memes, unflattering to everyone else, that is. And inside Buckingham, schedulers penciled in a note, His Majesty insists on leading trooping the colour, treatment timetable permitting. Doctors prefer a pared-down carriage route. Charles reportedly wants the full parade. Who blinks first may well script the next headline. The stakes extend beyond pomp. 43 companies now carry the King's crest into export showdowns, armed with data, prototypes and a social media halo. If half of them convert the hype into hard contracts, Britain's post-Brexit narrative shifts a decimal point to the right. Should they falter, critics will be first to juxtapose cancelled orders with palace budgets. Either way, the monarchy's bet on entrepreneurial sparkle places Windsor on the scoreboard of global competitiveness, a place where outcome, not lineage, decides the cheer volume. Which brings us to the only certainty left hanging in the rafters: the next installment is already loading. It may flash up in a Silicon Valley press release, a Sunderland factory expansion, or a Commonwealth Youth Lab where Anne's patented eyebrow raise motivates the coding team to finish early. Wherever the story breaks, the hook is built in. Will the royal seal prove accelerator or adornment? Watch this space, or risk learning the answer secondhand.